Shalom, shalom, shalom to everyone watching. This is Rabbi Moshe Otero with the Ways of Israel. And we're going to continue in our series, To Be a Jew, as we are now in chapter 20 of the book To Be a Jew, page 292, for those of you following along. Divorce proceedings. Divorce is one of the most terrible things that can happen to any couple, be they Jewish or not. Yet in Judaism, it's a little bit different how it works. Yes, Moses allowed for divorce to take place because really for the hardness of the heart of mankind. When one divorces his first wife, the altar shed tears. We'll find that in Gittin, chapter 90b. In Jewish life, divorce is regarded as a tragic but last resort to be turned to only after the possibility of reestablishing marital harmony and rekindling the love and affection that once existed between the couple, the husband, the wife, that has been exhausted. But when every hope of healing the breach has been lost, then the law of divorce is given for the sake of peace. Now, I've met many people within the Jewish community which practice what I call an encouragement to have certain couples divorce because obviously of issues of covetousness, which should be put and stomped out in any community because it brings about a lot of problems for those communities in particular. And those who divorce when they must bring good upon themselves and not evil. This, according to Eliyahu Kitov, it is suggested that the discussion of divorce and family is to be read as an introduction to the actual divorce proceedings, which follows. Please take a look at page 135 and 136. A marriage consecrated according to the laws of Moses and Israel is not dissolved except according to the law of Moses and Israel. Its procedure is based upon the biblical precept and is strictly governed by halacha, that is, Jewish law. Divorce granted under secular or civil law by civil authorities has no validity in Jewish law. So a person could be divorced according to secular law and still be married by religious law or Jewish law. Civil divorce process no moral or spiritual significance is severing the consecrated bond of religious marriage can take place. So, if a couple is divorced only civilly, they're still married if they underwent a marriage according to Jewish law. The Jewish divorce proceeding must be supervised by a Beit Din, the rabbinic court consisting of 3 rabbis competent in the laws of marriage and divorce. In addition to the Beit Din, a scribe or a sofer and 2 witnesses comprise the personnel and needed in the instance of a Jewish divorce in order to give a get. Members of the Beit Din may serve as witnesses may serve as witnesses if the other persons are unavailable. Although Beit Din will not authorize a get to be written unless it's made every effort to reconcile a couple and unless the grounds are sufficiently compelling, while a civil divorce has been granted and mutually agreed property settlement has been reached to the connection with civil divorce. Here in Florida, for example, many Beit Dins will make sure that whatever is done in their court is also done in the civil court. And it is necessary for the Beit Din to be involved itself in the grounds of divorce or for divorce or financial settlement. And under Jewish law, the desire of both parties to dissolve the marriage constitutes, in the final analysis, sufficient grounds for divorce. The entire procedure may take 1.5 or 2 hours. The bulk of the time is taken up by the writing of the get by the scribe, The document is lettered-like and similar in appearance to a column in the Torah scroll. The get is written individually on behalf of the husband and wife. It contains the names and the dates and the same of the name of the city wherein it was written. The document itself is mentioned, and there is no ground for divorce and no charge by either husband or wife. Both husband and wife are asked a number of routine questions to ascertain that it is of their free will and consent in the divorce action. If there is no free will in this, divorce cannot continue to go through. While the formal ceremony is based upon the biblical verses and provides for a husband to give the get for the wife to receive it, and this is basically the procedural. In the actual practice, one does not give, nor does the other receive, without the respective consent and approval of each. So if the husband doesn't want to give a divorce, he's not obligated to do so. Believe if his marriage can be saved, they should both seek counsel and try to do everything in their possibility to resolve the differences and come to an agreement of mutual agreement so that they can remain together. If not, then they must divorce. This is specifically so in countries outside of Israel where Jewish religious accounts do not possess the power to compel a husband to give consent to give the get or to compel a wife to consent to receive the get. Only moral pressure can be exercised in such case. Adherence to the tenets of the Jewish law in the diaspora in matters of personal family status, marriage and divorce is entirely voluntary. While the voluntary aspects may seem desirable, it has its drawbacks in the powerlessness of religious courts to correct flagrant injustices against one or the other party. Bills of divorce may not be formed printed. They must be written entirely specifically for the particular man and the particular woman for the specific purpose of effecting a particular divorce. So there is no shortcut in printing, in the printing press, as it were. The scribe and the two witnesses must be pious. They must be observant people, none of whom is related to the other, nor to the husband, nor to the wife. So they can't be related one to the other. While the proceedings are simplest when both husband and wife are present at the same time, should this be difficult or should be undesirable for them to meet, it is possible to arrange for the proceeding to be finalized through the appointed of a messenger. In that case, a husband places the document in the hands of the messenger who acts on behalf of the husband. One member of the Beit Din and one of the witnesses on the scribe himself may serve as a messenger. After the proceedings that are completed, a tear is made in the divorce document to indicate that it has been used and cannot be used again. The document itself is retained by the Beit Din and kept in permanent file. Official letters called a release, a patur, are given to the man and the woman testifying that the get has taken place and affirming their right to remarry. If a patur is lost, another copy can be obtained. If the original bill of divorce is lost, it's impossible to replace it. The woman may not remarry. Please listen to this, please, women. The woman may not remarry following the get for a period of 92 days. The reason why you must wait 92 days, or the 92 waiting period, is to remove all doubts as to the paternity which might be raised should she marry and conceive right away. The law relating to the writing of a document valid according to halakha and proceedings themselves are numerous and very complex. None but the most learned in the law of divorce may preside over it, lest an error results in invalidation of the get. Halitza, ceremony of release, based on the passage of Deuteronomy, chapter 25, verse 7 through 10. This ceremony is prescribed as an alternative to Yibum and it releases the widow of a man who died childless to marry someone other than the deceased husband's brother. Although a union with a brother's wife is among the incestuous relations forbidden in the Torah, it applies even when the wife becomes widowed or divorced. The one exception provided for in the Torah is when the brother died without having children. And that you can take a look at Deuteronomy chapter 25, verse 5 through 6. To avert the calamity of their family line becoming extinct and a man's name perishing, the surviving brother of such a childless man was required to marry the widow so as to raise up an heir to the man's name. And that you can take a look at in the Pentateuch or in the Torah. The same name, or the name for such a marriage, is called Yibum, or levirate marriage. In Latin, levir is a husband's brother. The brother could, however, refuse to enter into the marriage with his deceased brother's wife. In this case, the Torah provides for a ceremony called halitza, which releases one from the other. Rabbinic law, however, requires that the surviving brother to exercise his right of refusal and release his brother's widow so that the brother's widow to marry someone else. On moral grounds, the rabbis felt constrained to prevent a levirate marriage from being consummated, and they felt that it would be very extremely difficult for a man to cohabit with his sisters-in-law with only the intent of fulfilling a religious duty. And without such an intent, the relationship would be incestuous. Just as it serves to release a husband, a wife from each other according to the law of Moses in Israel, halitza serves to release the childless widow and the surviving brother from the Jewish legal bond to one another. Ceremonial halitza must be presided over a competent bet din. And here we end the issues of divorce. In our next chapter, which would be chapter 21, we are going to start looking at death and mourning, another part of life cycles within becoming a Jew. All of this so that you know what you're dealing with when you become Jewish. Even divorce is part of the sad part of Jewish life, unfortunately. May there never be unhappy marriages, and may there never be divorces required by those marriages. Shalom, shalom.